everyone to this webinar hosted by Olisa Agbakoba Legal on Reshaping Art in Africa, Opportunities and NFTs. And it's my pleasure to be your moderator and host for today. And my name is Beverly. For people who don't know me, I'm the head of Sports, Entertainment and Technology Legal Practice here at OEL. So I've got a pretty awesome panel for you today. But before I get into the panel, what was the reason for putting this workshop together? As you all know, the NFTs are taking over in a big way. Everywhere you look and turn, you hear about NFTs, you see it on social media. It's everywhere you go. So we felt like this would be a perfect opportunity to have a really interesting discussion on what NFTs are in the first place. There's a tendency for us to make assumptions about the general understanding of NFTs, but to be honest, many people still don't know what they are. So the purpose of today is to understand what they are and how exactly are NFTs going to revolutionize the art world. As we all know, the art world in Africa it's huge. From the 1970s when we had Festac, in African art. So we want to see how NFTs can be the possible bridge between African art and the rest of the world. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you the panel. We have today some very experienced people in the art world. We've got artists in the house, we've got curators in the house, we've got a gallery in the house, and a commercial IP lawyer as well. So we've got a nice range of people that can really bring to you the core, the crux of what it is we want to talk about. So we're hearing primarily from experts. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an hour roughly of panel discussions. We're going to give each panelist an opportunity to just talk about themselves, what they do in the art world, what their stake is, and what their take is on the trends. Okay, thank you for joining us, Sadiq. So our first speaker is going to be Senator Henyen. So I'm just going to give a bit of an introduction on who he is for people who don't know him. So he is the lead partner at Infusion Lawyers, and he's actually very well known in Nigeria as one of the major blockchain experts. He's also well known in intellectual property, but he's carved out a niche for himself as a blockchain expert. He's also the president of the stakeholders in Blockchain Association of Nigeria. So he really sits at the heart of what's going on the crypto side of things. So he's going to be giving us a really nice introduction as to what NFTs are. We've also got Julius, a good friend of mine. He's also an engineer, but he happens to be a major art enthusiast. He's got his own gallery, which is amazing. He's an entrepreneur as well. So he does quite a lot of things. The name of his gallery is LVI Art Gallery and Cultural Nexus. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Julius. And we've also got for you a hyper-realist artist. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the artists that do these amazing pencil drawings that look literally like you can touch them. So happy to have Frederick here with us today. He's also called, but I know him as Frederick. So it's a pleasure to have you with us today. And I also have Ayo Ayeni from London. So he's an IP lawyer, but he's also got a very big interest in art. He has his own NFT agency, which is pretty amazing. I'm sure many of you here would be interested in connecting with him afterwards, as with all the other panelists as well. So he's going to be giving us some interesting takes on what's going on and what's trending from the UK side of things and how that gap can be bridged between Nigeria and the UK. So it's a real pleasure to have you here. And last but not the least, we have another artist, Sadiq Williams. Glad to see you. Looking very trendy. Glad to see you. So he's a British Nigerian multidisciplinary artist as well. He's also into film, music, dance, poetry, and martial arts as well. So he's also going to come with the commercial side, the investment side of things, as well as from speaking from an artistic perspective. So I've got some really good people here for you today, some really cool people. So I'm going to just let them get on with things. So I'm coming over to you first, Senator. Um, nice to have you here. I think for the benefit of this conversation, I'm not going to assume that everybody knows what an NFT is. What exactly is an NFT for starters?
Thank you very much. And it's great to be in this program by the OAL. Thank you. When it comes to NFTs, it's one of those things some of my people call buzzwords. So we throw words around and expect that people understand the things. Simply put, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, are unique and irreplaceable digital assets that exist on what is called a blockchain. Now, why is it non-fungible? Because it is not replaceable. If I have a note of $1 or $1 and I replace it with another note of $1, nothing changes. It's still the same. But for NFTs, you can't, they are not fungible, and so they are not replaceable. An NFT is unique on its own. So when you have a digital asset secured or stored using an NFT technology, what it means is that that digital asset, it's unique, totally unique, not replaceable. Now, why is it on a blockchain? If anyone understands what blockchain means generally, just think of it as a big digital ledger or an open book that allows anything of value from currency to digital assets to digital identities, stocks, shares, mention them. They can all be stored and transferred through a blockchain network. So simply put, NFTs enable you to store or transfer your digital assets, such as an artwork, for instance, in a digital manner, and then you are able to secure it using a digital signature, which is unique, all right, to the person who has created the NFT. So that's what NFTs are, first of all. And when you ask artists out there, how does that really work for artists, right? We know that artists are always creating stuff, creating artworks. It could be sculpture, it could be anything. These things can be tokenized, meaning you can easily represent them digitally in a digital platform or manner or states, whereby those things can now be honed individually by you or the person buying it. So that's how it comes to the art world.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Because yeah, I think understanding on a basic level what an NFT is part of why we're here today. Many people don't really understand them, how they work. I guess we'll probably get into the commercials of how can I make money from NFTs and how can I even have an NFT? Like how do I create an NFT? People kind of think, oh, do I just get a regular artwork and then take a picture of it? So perhaps the artists in the house who've done it could give us a bit more background on that. Okay, Senator, thank you so much. I'm going to still come back to you in a bit because we have some IP conversations. Perhaps you and I could chop up first. But I'm going to now move over to Julius. As an art gallery owner, it's always delightful to see people, to meet people that have this passion for art. It's only now art is trending. For years it wasn't, and you would ask yourself, wow, how are artists really surviving? And so I really want to ask you, what is your take on NFTs? Do you see this as just a fad? In your art world, are you seeing this as a major trend that could be here to stay?
Thank you, everybody. Julius is my name. Happy to be here. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, OAL, for this. And thank you, other panelists and our audience. We're happy to have this discussion. First and foremost, I would say NFTs are here to stay. It's technology. Technology is here to stay. Technology is here to improve our life. Technology is here to cause what we call obstruction in some way. In the past, we have our traditional way of printing, We have photography. So let me go a little bit into the evolution of art. When art started, it was just visuals where people would paint and they would sculpt on tapes and walls, and later on we had canvases and we had prints. And later on, photography came in. When photography came in, people said, that will be the end of art. Photography did not stop that. They existed in parallel. NFT will not stop your physical art collection. They will always exist in what? Parallel. People are interested in prints, people are interested in original pieces, and people will get NFTs. Some people will have a hybrid of everything together. Some people are collectors of NFTs, they are collectors of physical artworks, which is a hybrid model, and some people are just only into NFTs. They don't go for the physical work. So let us not be worried that if you are not in one, you lose out. All of them will exist in parallel. That is my own take, and that's my own belief, because we have seen similar trend before when photography came in and thought that that would be the end of portraiture. Everybody take, but pictures have come in and they're better than arts works. But we have some hyper-realistic art that make pictures and paintings to look pictures and photography to look similar, that you have to go and check if they are different. So that's my take on that. Importantly, because NFTs are digital, it is difficult for you to exhibit them physically. You cannot see. It's a digital collection. It's not in an open space. So if you are a conservative person, you might like an NFT, or you might go purely for business because it's a digital asset. Once your NFT leaves the digital space and is printed out, it's no longer an NFT. It has not been turned to a print. So Centos told us just now, it is unique. It has its own identity carved in the blockchain. We can see the movement. So it is a digital asset. If today, if we were to do an exhibition of NFTs, I will need to have televisions and display around my gallery for you to see the digital works in pictorial forms. Other than that, they are in your. So the choice is yours. NFTs are here to stay. It's a good investment. If you like tech, it's a new trend. You can follow the trend, but most importantly here, we are here to understand the trend and how to go with the trend so that we are all guided. So that will be my introduction for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really like what you said about how all these various mediums don't necessarily replace the previous one. So NFTs are not suddenly going to replace physical exhibitions, not going to replace wood carvings, not going to replace iron sculptures, not going to replace paintings. It's just simply an additional way to enjoy art and to actually store your art, because I'm sure many of us here have heard about paintings that go missing. That's an issue in art. When paintings go missing, you can't attribute the painting to an artist. But the great thing about NFTs is that you can always attribute it to an owner. Maybe Senator
freeze.
I'm not sure I'm following.
It's a freeze.
frozen.
Yeah, there's a freeze.
Yeah.
You lost me for a second. Yes, sorry.
That was such an FT moment, by the way. that was not something to be tokenized.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Thank you. So now I want to bring on the hyper-realistic pencil artist. I want to bring on Temitokwe, Frederick. I love your art. I've seen it on, again, thank God for social media, right? That way, many of us have the opportunity to enjoy artwork without having to necessarily step foot into a physical space. And it'll be good to just introduce yourself, what you do, and, you know, as an artist, do you see NFTs changing lives of African artists? You know, again, talking about how can we tap into the wealth that NFTs are supposed to be bringing. African artists, I can't say for sure if they necessarily get their money's worth. Are they as valued on the global stage with their European, South American, American counterparts? Will NFTs really be the game changer for African artists like yourselves? So if you just want to share a bit more on your perspective as an artist.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm so glad for this opportunity to speak here today. And yeah, I'm Fred, a pencil artist. and a painter, sometimes a painter, and a final year medical student too. So yeah, I've been in the NFT space for about just 2 months, and I can say that those 2 months I've been in the NFT space, or the NFT community, those 2 months, it's almost like I've been there for 2 years or a year or so, because I know the love you get there, you can't really compare it to the love you get in Web2. No, a lot of people just think NFTs just to sell your work or whatever to just make money. But when you enter into the NFT, nobody will tell you this. It's actually a community,
Frederick, we're losing you a
just
bit.
like the way we have communities outside, like we have
Frederick, we're losing you a bit.
this community, that community, the NFT. Okay, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, great. This is the problem we face here in Nigeria, no steady network. So yeah, it's great. Was it to be here to actually speak? I really appreciate this opportunity. And yeah, I've just been in the NFT space. I've been active in this NFT space for just 2 months. And really, it's like I've been actually in for like 2 years or so, because the love in NFT, I was space is actually much. A lot of people just think NFT is just to sell work, to just make money or the rest. But really, NFT is just more than that. NFT is actually a community. There's a community. Was it this barcode of our NFT is actually the community. Without the community, you actually find it difficult to actually make sales.
That can propagate development. What it can do, for instance.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay. I thought I was rocking. Okay. So yeah, it's really nice. Like I say, since I've joined NFT, I've been able to meet a lot of people. It has connected me more with collectors than the real world has actually connected me. In the real world, it was very hard for me to get collectors. The only opportunity for me to get collectors is like through galleries. And one of the process of entering gallery and also like meeting collectors, you have to do exhibitions, you have to already have a profile, a good profile or whatever. But with NFT, it has been better. Like you meet like so many collectors a day, like you can meet about like 10 collectors, and some of them actually be interested in your work. And they will actually notice you. It gives you this audience, this larger audience, where you know that you're targeting the consumers of this NFT. Really, like the community gives you the target audience, not like when you come to the normal Twitter or the Instagram, where you just post your work and probably out of your 1,000 followers or 2,000 followers, there are only like 3 people that are interested in actually the consumers or really interested in what you do. But this NFT has given us the opportunity to actually speak directly with consumers. I mean, the NFT people, the NFT collectors, and without NFT, I know before NFT, a lot of digital artists always like find it difficult to actually make their works. They make so many beautiful digital works without being able to sell. But now it's easier for you to sell your digital works, and you get collector for it once you are engaged in the community. And contrary to what Mr. Julius said, it's easy to actually exhibit your NFTs without making prints. There's a device now that they do now is just like normal tablets or big screens that display these NFTs in the galleries, just like the actual galleries. But instead of them printing it, so it doesn't be like an actual copy, then these tablets will display that work, and they use billboards too and the rest. So I would say it's actually really great, and it's a good opportunity, because with NFT, I know your work will stay there for as long as your work, as long as the whole blockchain exists and the whole NFT exists, and it gives you the opportunity to actually sell in real world and also sell in digital world. I said maybe your collector was the actual piece, so you actually earn money in 2 ways. And more galleries, a lot of galleries are already adapting the NFT, and so you get in contact with so many galleries too. Like unlike you having to like go message galleries on Instagram, and most times they don't really reply you, or they don't notice you or the rest. As long as you're engaging the community, and as long as you're making friends, as long as your presence is being noticed and people are seeing your work regularly, it's easier for you to actually do all these things. And I know people who started NFT before me who were nothing, who were just thriving, and now they're actually making news. Like, this is not a story that someone is telling, when someone told me or I heard from someone. I can actually like, testify to this. I know my friend who was actually thriving, was it before joining the NFT. Now he's making a lot of money through this NFT, and without NFT, we would have gotten this opportunity. And I'm so happy for him. And that's it, really. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Frederick, trust me, that's not just it. What you said is it's really eye-opening. I saw Engineer Julius's face like go up a little when you talked about the bottlenecks that in the days of old, pre NFTs, pre the explosion of digital art. I mean, let's be honest, maybe Julius will speak to that, but it wasn't easy. When you look at all these different art exhibitions here and there, there's a reason. Unless you find art-friendly or supportive organizations which are always willing to showcase artwork. But in the exception of that, it can cost quite a bit to expose your work to the public. Expositions are not cheap, and you tend to rely on benefactors, and you have that, and that's where that theory of the poor struggling artist comes from, because you're passionate, you have all this work, and you can't sell it. So from what you said, it sounds as if NFTs, well, the concept of NFTs has literally deconstructed, dismantled the old regime, right? You don't have to, I mean, you could probably, exactly, Chemaka, thanks for that. That's the word I was looking for. It's it's accessible, right? And your opportunities to earn wealth suddenly go through the roof. So you're no longer waiting for your exhibition. You're no longer, okay, let's put it this way. You're no longer waiting for space to become available, right? Because there's only so many walls in a building, and you've got so many artists all fighting to get their exhibitions into a single building or multiple buildings. But now you're in the metaverse, and there's unlimited space. You can come in as you want. Maybe you'll talk to us a bit later about whether there's a cost attached to showcasing your work. Well, it would be good to get into the nitty-gritty of the cost and the charges and things like that. But yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm not surprised that there's so much excitement, and you sound so passionate. My goodness, you've been in the space for 2 months. That's unbelievable. So that's the reason why we're having this conversation, because we want people to know what the opportunities are. And I guess maybe I'll come on to Sadiq now, because I really have a question. Do you have to, I mean, if you're not a digital artist, right? You just, okay, let me introduce, so I'll just introduce him now. So Sadiq is actually someone I've known for a very long time. We've gone to school together, and he's branched out and he's doing well in the creative space. And as I explained before, he's also an artist himself, a multidisciplinary artist. He's also a martial artist as well, which is pretty amazing. And when we met coincidentally at an art exhibition, we got talking, and amazing things happen when you connect. And here we are today. So Sadiq, I'd love for you to share a bit about the work you do on the commercial side, because I know apart from being an artist, you're also involved in the commercial side. And I think that's what people want to hear today. Even if you're not an artist, how can you play in that space? It's a bit like crypto, but you just want to to touch, you want to just get a feel of what the space is about. So could you share with us your experience, your exposure, and for enthusiasts, I'm sure there are many in here, how can enthusiasts get involved in safely get safely involved in digital art? So I'll pass the floor to you, the mic to you.
Thanks a lot, Beverly. Hi, everyone. Hi to all my fellow speakers and everyone who's tuned in. So my background is from architecture, then I've gone into BA business and analytics.
Well, we're struggling to hear you a bit. Maybe you can turn off your video and see if it improves your bandwidth. Sadiq, I think we're having some problems with Sadiq's connection.
For
Sadiq? Sadiq? Okay, it looks like he's dropped off. Ayo, do you want to come in and I'll just ask Sadiq to maybe sort out his connection. So Ayo is an IP expert well, he's also an IP expert because his accreditation from WIPO, but he's also got an NFT agency and he's also into the creative arts, for instance, literary arts. So do you just want to give us an introduction on yourself, what you do in the space, and the trends you're seeing, crossing that bridge from Nigeria, West Africa to the UK? What kind of trends do you foresee? How much activity can we expect, and how can everybody position themselves basically to tap into this trend?
Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for putting me on this panel, and thanks for even organizing this in the first place, because without conversations like this going on, there's a lot of information that will not be spread to the right people. So well done. Thanks very much for this. As I was introduced, my name is Ayo Ayeni, and I am an IP consultant. My background is I've worked with World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. I was also consultant to Registry of Trademarks, Patents and Designs in Nigeria. We worked on IP publications, just the whole four patents, copyrights, trademarks, and designs, just different publications to teach small and medium entrepreneurs how best to use IP. So crossing over to the other side, coming this way and living here, I have mostly worked in the patent space. And then quite recently, my life was drawn back into, amazingly, to the copyright space with the creatives rather than sitting with the innovators. So I do a lot of work in tech, but I also do a lot of work with the creatives. And then a lot of copyright work comes in, and a lot of trademark work. Then boom, NFT comes on board and changed the whole game. So what I have, first of all, my opinion about NFTs, I should put it out here. First of all, I think NFT we're just scratching. We've not even started to begin to scratch the surface of what NFT is. For this use case, we're only dealing with one use case now, arts. We're just doing arts now. That's only one use case. There is literature, which people have started experimenting with, and I'll explain why. There's movies, videos. Of course, we see that sales have happened. You know that Ghanaian, you know that those pallbearers, right? Those Ghanaian guys. That's a video. That's an NFT video that was sold. So all of those things are going on now, right? And those are just even scratching the surface. Gaming is happening on a large scale in the metaverse, and there are NFTs as well. All of those things that happen in the metaverse, the whole creation of Meta, what they're going to be dealing with is NFTs. Instagram is starting a pilot program with NFTs on Instagram. Or they're going to start a pilot program with NFTs on Instagram as PFPs, right? They're starting that. Twitter are going to start that as well. Spotify, they've started a pilot program with 4 artists to see how they can sell the NFTs on Spotify. So it's going everywhere. There's nowhere you go that you won't find that. And this is because there's just the disruption that NFT causes in the market is this. It takes out all the middle markets, all the agents in between. It's cut everybody out. So you're dealing directly, you, the creator, you're dealing directly with your buyers. And it's community to community. It's P2P, which is what the blockchain is an amazing, we can't talk about NFTs without blockchain, right? So what blockchain has come to do, right, is that it has come to give us a tool where we can store valuable assets in a way where we don't need to it's one of one. We own it and everybody knows it. And we have this way of authenticating and proving that this belongs to us and it cannot be recreated anywhere else. and it is proven that this belongs to us. Now, that way, that's copyright, that's IP. There's what IP has been struggling with for so many years. Blockchain has come to solve. Apart from provenance, the payment of royalties and all of these little things that happen are put together in a smart contract. You don't need middlemen to implement payments. That is done automatically on the system. Now, what's my incursion into NFTs? There are galleries now in the United Kingdom, in London here, where you have their NFT galleries. There's two now. There's one called Quantus, right? And there's another one called Scale. They started. Now, what happens on there? You go in there and you see like panels and panels on the wall everywhere. And you're looking around, you view, I mean, Julius, you are a gallery, so you know what that means, right? And and then you're, oh, yeah, that's the one I want. Okay, I want a series of that. I want that. Like, it's all amazing. Like, you're seeing all of those things change before you. It's even the experience itself is very AR. It's very augmented reality. It's very VR, right? You see all of those things at once. And then there's all that situation about having your digital copy, you have the NFT, and then you own the physical copy as well. So your asset, it's not depreciating your asset, it's actually adding value to the asset. You have a physical copy and you have a digital copy. And what can't you do with the digital copy? You can sell in the primary market, you can sell it in the secondary market. There's nothing you can do with it. In the United Kingdom, they've started there's a committee now that's sitting down to see how NFTs can actually be securitized as assets. You pay tax on it to HMRC, right? You can use NFTs as collateral, yeah. And it's big deal. It's big deal. It's beyond digital art. It's not just that I have a digital art. It's not JPEG. This is you owning an asset that you can use anywhere. You can use any other real estate. Anywhere you can use a real asset, you can use the same asset. And that's where the metaverse is going. The kind of work that has been brought to my table includes writing privacy policies for NFT marketplaces, includes making sure that terms and conditions for creators who are minting, tokenizing their works. Those are the kind of things that come as an IP lawyer. Now, is it a safe space for, is it that NFT has come and there's no more breach of intellectual property? Oh no, there is a lot of breach of intellectual property. It is crazy. I'm Senator, you will bear me witness on that one. It's crazy. It's so bad that these guys, they're in court right now. OpenSea are in court right now with 15 creators whose works were minted and are being sold openly on NFTs. So the gateway of making sure that whatever work is being minted belongs to the mint, well, maybe not the minter, but whoever is selling this product, this work, has rights to sell this work. That gateway, if it is not fastened, if it's not well watched, if it's not well kept, if you don't make sure that every single thing is probed at this initial stage, you're going to have problems. Your people's work, you can it's so easy to mint. Just go on OpenSea. How much is it? How much is gas fee? I mean, there's free ones, there's Polygon, there's Solana. You don't even need to pay gas fees, right? It's easy to mint. Just pick up anybody's JPEG and go ahead and do that. It's very easy to do that. But the idea of provenance, the idea of authentication, the idea that this work belongs to you is a work that IP lawyers are now tasked with. And the collaboration between the owners of market places for the sale of NFTs and the IP lawyers who need to make sure that every single term and condition is put in place, every single privacy policy is put in place, every assignment of the works to the rightful owner are put in place. Those things need to be, this is a lot of work. It's the time to make sure that all those things are in place. Before I go, there is there is the there are tools now that are being put in place where they make sure that there is a you can check the copy, you can go on copyright. So basically you want to meet your work, right? You go and register your work as the true owner. It's published for 3 months. The same way copyright is registered, right? The same way copyright is registered, where it's published for 3 months, and then you see if anybody comes up and says, "Oh, this is my copyright. This work belongs to me." If nobody comes up, then you receive a certificate that it belongs to you, right? It's happening with NFTs now. So where there's a whole marketplace where there's a whole platform where you go on there and register your work, and then if nobody comes in to say this belongs to me or anything, if there's no opposition, then you receive the certificate. Then you can go and NFT it. Quincy Jones's platform, one of the marketplace that belongs to Quincy Jones, he won't NFT a one-off if they can't prove copyright ownership. In fact, you need to come with your copyright certificate, or it's been assigned to you, or whoever owns it has assigned the work to you. And these are the IP issues that are coming up with NFTs now. So lawyers need to there's lots of work to do in this NFT space, because this is just one use case. Art is just one use case. There's so many use cases coming up now, and we need to be very well prepared. And the laws will need to catch up with us at some point to regulate how this works in every territory and every jurisdiction. I hope that, I've been able to share a bit.
More than a bit. More than a bit. There's so much going on from what you said. There's a lot going on, and people need to be aware of, the legal issues surrounding NFTs. It was actually going to bring me to a question about managing NFT artists. But before I take that question, I want to bring Sadiq back on because he had bad network before. So Sadiq, please come back on and just share your exposure, experience with NFTs and other digital art forms for
Hi everyone. Sorry for the technical issues. So what I was saying was I spent a year.
The Bible says perfect as if Father in love is perfect. If God can be everywhere, who am I to be everywhere?
Sorry? Well, I'm going to second all our brothers and people here, because I spent a year as a business development consultant on a platform that's going to be Africa's marketplace, akin to the open seas and super rares. But I'm not at liberty right now, just because of legal dynamics to divulge the name. I actually met Ayo on the project, or coincidentally, and we set up a digital NFT agency as a result. We're both professionals and creatives alike, and we got along, and we realized we had a lot in common. So that platform actually was bolstered on tying to galleries. So I did biz dev, and I was also co-curating as well the framework. And on the framework for the UX and UI, we're going to integrate traditional artists like myself, who are also multidisciplinary or maybe focused on one strata of their art. It could be sculptural art, fine art, visual arts, film, music, contemporary in sense of performance, etc., etc. So it gave me a deep dive into, what we call blockchain, NFTs, and the metaverse, and how all these frameworks work and function, how they function together. Part of that dynamic had me meetings with angel investors, crypto investors, traditional investors. So I was able to start to see the various mindset and various points of views, and it was a great run, because it allowed me to see at least 360 or 720 multiple perspectives with even what we were going to do, or what the platform's about to do in terms of a fusion between the tech world and the traditional art world. We're privileged to have access to some of the top echelon of the African art space. Again, I'm not at liberty to drop some names, but these are people who are globally recognized. Prior to this, we were already having discussions about what the provenance mechanics are in the digital space and traditional space. we also have had conversations about artists, resale artists in global polity. For example, a lot of people don't realize for certain artists, or if artists want to
Again.
You can demand that if
We're having problems hearing you.
buyer collector buys your artwork, if they choose to use that piece of artwork for publication or resale, you as an artist have a say in has to play. That's an ongoing conversation already I'm a part of. Now, this is a framework or a system that, sorry?
Yeah, we're having problems hearing you. Maybe you can take off your video so we can get better bandwidth. Oh, looks like we've lost him. Looks like we've lost him. Okay. Okay. Well, whilst we're waiting for him to come back on, I want to address something. Hi, Sadiq. Can you take off your video so we can hear you? The bandwidth, the audio is quite bad. Okay, so I have a question. And whilst we're waiting for Sadiq to come back on, and it's around managing digital artists. The same way you can manage an artist that has physical works, because Ayo's raised a lot of points around all the
Hello?
legal issues.
Sorry,
Sadiq,
just glitch off the
are you
video.
back?
Okay, is it?
It's still a little choppy. Finding it hard to hear you.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
It's okay.
That's weird. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go on. We'll come back to my question in a bit once we can. We're still having some problems. Okay, you know what? Let me pass this over to Senator, and then I want to hear from Ayo. I've got people who are interested now in managing digital artists. They're talking about, oh, I've got artists, I want to manage them. Sadiq, we're still
Hear me
struggling
now?
to hear. It's okay.
Can you hear me now?
It's not that clear.
Is it clear now?
Yes, go on, try. Let's try.
So you are asking if you could manage a traditional artist.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in a new era of people who are purely digital artists. They're not doing the physical art. So now I'm looking at things like artist management. Okay, we'll answer questions in about 10 minutes. So we'll come to your question, Sharif. So we're looking at artist management in the same way
Yes.
we manage artists who are recording artists, performance artists. We now are entering that realm of how do we manage digital artists. People are setting up their own digital talent management agencies. For instance, someone like Frederick, who's super talented and has a lot of great work, there's nothing precluding him from signing himself to an agency, right? So what kind of opportunities do we have in that space for talent management,
So that area, coincidentally, Aya and I have set up an agency along those lines to help sort of across the spectrum, because there's a lot going on. The conversation, the blockchain, NFT, metaverse space is still ongoing, even in terms of its evolutions. Most people may have correlation points as to how that also is affecting the NFT and digital art framework as we speak. Data also still suggests that the traditional art world still does way more volume than the digital art world for now. I'm being very specific. And the beauty of the NFT framework is it allows artists to scale up. It allows you to also have residual income for life. From a legal standpoint, if from the traditional to the digital, when it comes to your smart contract, you could tailor your dynamics so that your next of kin can actually inherit or benefit from. If not your next of kin, could be a cause, it could be your community. Okay. If you're deep in the space, you would understand what a DAO means, decentralized autonomous organization. That's another subsect of the NFT evolutions. And the beauty again is frameworks, community, advocacy for like social entrepreneurship. Also the ability for your work to reach wider audiences, different demographics, not usual gatekeepers. And the other beauty of it as well, upon studying for about a year and observing, is that the traditional framework, that's your galleries, your collectors, they don't have much to be afraid of. If anything, what's even happening now, most collectors in the NFT space are observing your track record in real time. So it's actually of benefit to still be tied to a gallery or do your usual rounds, have your exhibitions, have your accreditations, do your all the usual stuff. But the beauty as well, which makes the NFT space and blockchain very interesting, is even without that, you still stand a chance of optimizing, of earning, of putting yourself in a very strong position to have a sustainable lifestyle and to be able to continue your practice, so to speak. The only I'm a bit sort of objective on the two fronts in the sense that you can do it the organic way, and that's great, or you could do it the sort of systematic, managed way. I think the managed way allows the artist or investors in the artist or backers of the artist, i.e. gallery, investor, collector, to be able to scale up way more without reducing the risk of failure. Because a lot of us are still talking about the success stories. We're also not looking at the failed projects. There are a lot of them. To do, I and myself and a few other parties, is to manage that process for people, advise them how best to do it. And so they can launch their projects and the projects can stand the test of time. One of the key things to remember about NFTs is outside of the artistic overtures and creative dynamic, it's still a form of cryptocurrency, commerce, and that other back-end framework. We're privileged to have access to some of the best minds in that space who consult for major organizations, the metaverse and the game space. This is what they do. For them, it's pure raw data. They're able to guide your tokens or your coins or your DAO through any sort of fluctuation, especially what's going on in the market right now. So a mix of creativity and sort of like business acumen and sort of like legal dynamics is very key. I tell people the easiest way to understand an NFT is imagine a club sandwich, famous club sandwich in Nigeria. You have all these various things that make it what it is. And with the other facts, you can align it to real estate, you can align it to so many things. And if you get your narrative right, and you have a good PR team, a good gallery backing you, a good curator, good team, the sky is really the limit. And without a team, you can still do really good. OpenSeas, for example, is doing some great numbers. You have the likes of Super Rare. But if you want to switch the parlance, I would say a Super Rare is almost like in the film world, a Vimeo. And the OpenSea is a YouTube where everyone and anyone can just load up their content. With NFTs and its evolutions, there's still a need for more conversations like this. There's still a need for more collaboration between the artists, gallerists, lawyers, managers, curators. From a business investment standpoint, what's being looked at now is the value proposition being presented. So something that's going to pick up steam is the derivative or your digital art coupled with the original art, whether it's because you need to sort of be able to back it with something substantial. And that's where the likes of Julius, Senator, Ayo ourselves as sort of artists slash consultants come in, conversation that's ongoing. And
Wow.
we see that trend. It applies because now you, sorry.
No, I was just saying the information is a lot.
Oh,
This is a lot of information. There's a lot going on in this space.
yeah, there's a lot going on. Like the space is still thriving and it's still evolving. So we've, like I said, it was a deep dive. I and myself met on the project, and this is literally what is really happening right now as we speak. You really want to be aligned with lawyers, management, gallery professionals as much as you can, because there are projects that are not going to be here tomorrow as a result of it's like, to get a successful NFT project or a DAO structure rolling out, you need to look at it like an architectural project or a film project where you have multiple skill sets coming in for the guaranteed success. So outside of the creative and passionate outbursts, you need to have structure. Just like any successful recording artist, visual artist, there's always a team behind them. No one can do it all alone. And for me, this also now means there's more income, there's more sort of a sustainable framework for both galleries, lawyers, managers, anyone operating in that space. I was at a exhibition yesterday, and it was beautiful experiencing a NFT framework with live music, and it was being streamed in New York and parts of Kenya. Same collection. Traditionally, if we were just to do just traditional paintings, you'd have to replicate that over and over, and then the cost implications. But this, from a commercial standpoint, was beautiful because you spent the income once or in certain areas, and you've been able to reach a global audience at different time zones. It was fantastic. Now, for example, I'm in film, also fundraising cycle for film projects, while still augmenting the traditional way of raising capital with the EPs and all of that stuff. And that's because there's a creative overture. So again, even when it comes to music, architecture, artifacts, the power of arts, and then the power of sort of commerce, and then the power of social change, it's very key. There's a number of other projects I also involved in the NGO sort of social enterprise space. And the beauty of setting up an NFT is it can allow causes to thrive. So I can't remember the name of a lady. She has a collection strictly based on just female faces, and a portion of her proceeds, they go to feminist causes, female charities, like a whole long list. You don't even have to just be isolated to one cause. And a lot of investors in the space, they like things like that. They want to see these type of things in your framework that, okay, I'm investing in this artist, or I'm investing in this collection, or I'm investing in this DAO, or I'm investing in this framework. What is, my investment, what is it doing? What is the utility of the framework saying? And utility is sort of like another way in that space of saying, okay, for example, if I buy into a Niger DAO token, for example, I could possibly have discounted tickets to exhibition spaces, back to the likes of Julius's spaces. I could have access to first rights of refusal to a bunch of other things. Thing about the NFT space, the framework, and then that's just even on the sort of like UX, UI, and management commercial space. We now transmute that into the metaverse. The sky's the limit. You have people buying land now in the metaverse. You've got gaming culture, which is interesting. You got young multimillionaires now as a result of the NFT framework. Age is sort of not a limit. Proximity is not a limit anymore. Your ethnicity is not necessarily a limit anymore also. So I think these are really exciting times.
Apologies for that.
So each mode of creative expression in the NFT framework has its way of integration, but the beauty again is all attached to art. So you've seen the likes of Snoop Dogg investing in recent years. Eminem's also invested. They're using music or the sonic arts combined with, I think, 3D animation, and they're also tethered into the metaverse aspect of the NFT blockchain framework. There's just so much, and it's still evolving. So I feel like more conversations need to still be had. There's a lot of jobs that are going to be created as a result. Artists now can work, there's literally almost no barrier. You can work almost anywhere. You could do your drops. I'm opting for a more holistic approach. Kudos to my fellow digital artists who have actually created this disruptive engagement. Kudos to all the minters and miners and the crypto investors who've, backed this. Another thing to add is this is just to buttress what Julius was saying earlier, and my colleague Kingsley. There are actually frames now that you can buy as a collector in your house or for exhibition purposes outside of just plasma screens, and they're detailed specifically for your NFT collection. I think you put a zip in it or something, or you can Wi-Fi your collection, and it's just strolling through. I got this information from because I've been on a few seminars before this. I think it was Julius. He's been in the music industry. He's actually an NFT collector himself, and so he kind of like highlighted Osinachi was one of the speakers at the time. So there's a lot of great things going on. In Osinachi's case, he's been able to use his digital arts and prowess in the NFT. You can see a yin and yang approach where his sale prices, his progress in the digital NFT
just
space is
Osinachi is one of our greatest NFT minters in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Yes, he's the best. He's the most voluminous, right?
Yes.
NFT. Yes, I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
People should. I think what's his biggest sale so far?
Yes.
His biggest sale has been, I'm not quite sure, but we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
So honestly, like, you're like a repository of our panel time. And I really want to get no, don't be sorry. There's so much to talk about, and like you said, this is the start of many conversations. It's even more apparent to me that we can't even have one conversation about this. We need multiple conversations, because you all have been able to show us different segments. There's a management segment, there's a legal aspect, there's the collaborative aspect. There's so many different aspects. A regular artist. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle that need to come together to make it successful, and there has to be the ecosystem as well, the infrastructure. You've talked about an exhibition that was happening simultaneously in New York and in Nairobi at the same time. I mean, that's unheard of to me. I've never heard of that. It's for me, it's just simply incredible how much opportunity there is. Now I have questions, because I want people are here to learn. I have one question so far in the Q&A box, and it says, it's from Adenike, and she says, thank you all for taking your time to join this panel. My question is, when photography was created, it changed the form of art and drastically reduced the number of arts that painted realist paintings. I don't know where she got that from, but I'm sure she knows. So how have NFTs changed the way art is expressed? I don't know who can. Let me go back to Frederick, who actually is, I would say, an NFT artist. Frederick, can you explain? I mean, you are a realist artist, and you now have moved into the NFT space. Well, can you give us a kind of, from your perspective, what the difference is? Is it a different form of expression? The process of creating an NFT, is it very different to creating, your more traditional works, and what the differences are, if you just want to share? And more people can ask questions. Please post questions.
Okay. Thank you. First, I want to be sure. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Firstly, a lot of people don't know this. You can always convert traditional works to NFTs, as long as you can take a very good picture of it. You snapping it, you scanning it, or you doing something like scanning or having the data copy on your phone. Once you upload it, it's also an NFT. So it's not necessarily you having to have a tab or something that you need to make it digital art. Anything that can be snapped, that can be scanned, can also be converted to a digital asset too. So what I do, nothing has changed really. I still do my normal pencil drawings. Sometimes I try to add colors, but I have not even uploaded the ones with colors. But still, that one makes you it gives you better leverage too, because I know a lot of people like colors compared to just pencil works. But it necessarily doesn't have to change your style. And what's really the change I've noticed with this whole NFT, it gives you more opportunity to express your work. Because in the actual world, most people, once you put your description, most people don't really know exactly what inspired you, what your thought process was while creating the work, or probably how your journey and everything. Most times when you post it in your description, majority of people don't read it, not because they're never interested, or they're not even the consumers, or even the consumers, they don't have time. You're just like, oh shit, I like this work. Let me retweet it. I like this work. But with the NFT, when talking to the community, when talking spaces, mostly what they do is that they ask you, was it your inspiration behind the work, why you did this, and necessarily like most times, what I do is that I always like was it tell the stories behind the work because it's always an avenue to, and most artists always love to like actually express themselves more. I was it while was it talking about the arts, they tell you everything that actually inspired them. Probably they have a topic, probably it's something they face, probably racism, police brutality, so and so on like that. So it gives you the opportunity. This is what Web2 might not really give, except in exhibitions where was it you talk to just small audience, or probably when you're talking to the audience and majority of them are not even like really listening. Probably they are also like admiring other works and the rest. But while you're talking the space, majority, I can't say because I don't know where exactly each of them are listening to, but I know majority of people in the room are actually listening to you then because it's just one person per, most times it's always one person per session, like one person will be speaking while everybody will be listening to them. So it gives you that opportunity and it gives you, was it, I like the courage to actually express yourself because really you're not really like seeing them in person. You're just talking to them on phone or you're just like talking to yourself or something. So yeah, that's it really. And I hope I have been able to answer that.
Yeah.
I just hope.
No, it
Yeah.
was good. It was good. You've reiterated the point Sadiq made, which is that NFTs seem to be used for social causes a lot. They're good. They tell stories. They're good they're good for community engagement. And again, one thing that keeps on coming up over and over is the community is so powerful. It's the community is so passionate. I mean, I find arty people very like poetry passionate. So that to me is not very is not surprising. So thank you so much for that. Just explaining the thought process, I suppose, as to creating NFTs. I have Tom, so I hope that answers your question, Adenike. I've got Tom Utum here, and he says there have been arguments that NFTs used in metaverse platforms, for instance, the Decentraland term of use provides the platform with the power to seize one's NFT for misconducts or breach of the platform's guidelines. And pursuant to that same question, how do we reconcile this notion that NFTs grant full ownership to the creator of an artwork? I want to pass this to Senator, if that's okay.
All right, thank you very much. Generally, there's a misconception out there about the concept of ownership when it comes to NFT creation. Out there, generally, people believe that once you own an NFT, it means once you own now, like you buy an NFT, you have all of the rights, to that NFT. But that's not quite how it works. We talk about NFTs, and there's an aspect you call smart contracts. Whatever rights and whatever limitations you want to attach to a digital artwork or assets will need to be written into the smart contracts. So how far you can go in terms of ownership or limitation to that ownership is really a function of how the smart contract was programmed, right? So that has to be noted. And this is why I agree with, I think it was Sadiq was mentioning it, that this space is more like, it's a value chain. It's an ecosystem where you really can't say you want to do everything alone. You need to have the lawyers in the house. You need to have the collectors and all of them in the house, helping you ensure that you got it right. So in terms of the terms of use of a platform such as maybe OpenSea, Wearable, or any of those guys, or even the space, the one by Nigeria here, it's not, that is generally stated. There are usually ways around these things. So what I understand with NFTs, if you minted an NFT and you by virtue of minting that NFT, you are the owner of the work. If that's, let's assume that I am the artist now, say Onyechi, I create a work of art. I mint this work of art on an NFT platform, and that gives me ownership because I now have digital signature to that work that has just been minted. That's complete ownership on my part because I do not only own the, what's it called, the physical assets, I also now own the digital representation of that asset as well. Now, I do not see how in that context, a platform that is more like an intermediary just to open up shop for you so that you can reach more audience would then take over ownership of your NFT. That actually disrupts the idea of blockchain and why NFTs make so much sense, right? So if we assume that platforms have those powers, the way that Twitter, Facebook, and others have, it really defeats the essence of blockchain because, except of course, what you did was to at the point of minting, maybe those were the terms, or that's the platform you use. But the artists I have advised in when it comes to this area, we don't get into such. We're able to ensure that the creator has absolute rights to the NFT by virtue of having the digital signature. And just to say this generally, one of the disconnections we have seen in the NFT space is that we have seen people, just want to sell NFTs for NFTs' sake, right? And that really defeats the idea of NFTs. NFTs are really basically metadata, of rights, limitations to those things. It's not the value itself. No one buys an NFT because it's an NFT. There is an underlying asset. There's a value to it. And what we see amongst the early players in the market, especially those ones who are not really artists, they are not creators, but because there's this buzzword and this in thing, everyone is talking about NFTs, then we all just suddenly become creators. I've never painted anything in my life, but because people sold 5,000, for $69 million, and one tweet, was sold for about $30 million, I get excited and I also want to quickly meet stuff and put stuff out there. This is why I could, debatably, up to say 90% of NFT works out there are basically just hypes, right? The real work, which should come from the industry players, the artists, the creators, the painters, sculptors. We are not seeing those yet. So I'm really happy about what Sadiq was saying about the idea of coming together with collectors, gallery owners, to put this stuff out there and really maximize the power of the NFT. At this point, like Ayeni said, we pretty much are just scratching the surface. And I think, if you ask me, I want to be sure that everyone can hear me.
Really, go ahead.
Oh, great. So I think that at this early stage, we need to come together as creators, as policymakers, as lawyers, what have you. We need to come together and protect the ecosystem. Already, it is not news that we now have money launderers and terrorism financing going on through the instrumentality of NFTs. So sometimes when you hear ridiculous amounts of money being paid for, ridiculous in quotes, being paid for certain NFTs, you begin to wonder, is that really real? I mean, in the United States, some reports by the FBI have shown that, as a matter of fact, some of the NFTs out there sold at millions of dollars were actually, parts of money laundering, system going on. So I think we really need to have more education in the space, and we really need to have better awareness as well, so that the real guys that are supposed to maximize NFTs are the ones driving this, and not some overnight creators and artists.
Nice, thank you. I like how you added more of the legal risks, which we didn't really cover well. So thank you so much for that. Gosh, there's just so much on this. I've got a question here on, I hear payments are made by cryptocurrency. So I think this person is asking, how do I get paid for my NFTs? Ayo, can you take this question? How do I get paid? I'm an NFT artist. I've got my work on OpenSea or wherever. How do I get paid? Is it by crypto?
So yeah, no, good, amazing question, amazing question. If this question was asked, say, maybe like 6 months ago, I would say it's strictly crypto. But now there are loads of platforms that you don't need crypto.
Excellent.
Yeah, look, voice. There used to be, if you guys check it out, it's amazing. We've got some amazing African, Nigerian artists on voice as well.
Okay.
And we just use your debit card and everything. But anyway, you need a wallet. That's the first thing. You do need a wallet,
Okay.
right? There will be, because NFT sits on the blockchain.
Yes.
The blockchain is transacted via cryptocurrencies. Ethereum is the blockchain that most sits on, but now, I mean, it used to be only Ethereum, but now that there's Polygon and Solana, is not necessarily Ethereum anymore. But the idea is that is transacted through wallets. So you would need to first have like a MetaMask or a wallet, Coinbase wallet, or any of those wallets, right? And there's a lot of conversion because you're selling ETH in Ethereum, right? They buy it in Ethereum. That's if you're on such a platform. There are other platforms that they're just buying dollars. They just see the dollar value and they pay for it with their debit cards and credit cards, and your money comes to your bank account. Your PayPal.
We're talking abroad. In Nigeria, right now our issue is
okay. I'm going to come to that. That is a very serious question, and that, you know what, I'm going to post Senator into this one. I'm going to post Senator into this one because but let me give you my 2 cents.
Yeah, the UK version, the European, other jurisdictions, you pay just with your card, right? Yeah. Just pay with your card.
Very good question. So I want, like I said, I want to put Mr. Senator into this one because, right? Because there's those platforms where you don't need crypto. You don't need crypto to pay for those things, right? They do exist. So why wouldn't you? So you, as if you're an NFT, if you've minted an NFT and you're on there, someone can buy with a debit card, right? Can buy from wherever with a PayPal account. I'm not sure what PayPal is in Nigeria presently. I'm not sure, but I know that PayPal is connected to Flutterwave and what's the other one presently. So I don't think that should be a problem anymore. Paystack. I don't think it should be a problem anymore. But point being, there are platforms where it is strictly crypto. And then there are platforms that now there exist platforms that is not strictly crypto. So now, why I say I'm going to just into this is because I want to ask, right? How are Nigerian minters, how are they getting paid presently? Because they do crypto. I know that there's P2P, there's peer-to-peer transactions that go on crypto. But what happens? Like, how does it come into their Nigerian wallet accounts, their wallets? How does that happen? Because that's one part I want to understand as well.
All right, that's interesting. Yes, I guess you already have at the back of your mind the CBN, what was it called now, restriction in Nigeria's banking and financial system as far as crypto-related transactions are concerned. And so there is no direct integration or connection between these NFT platforms for minters, and a limitation. But as you already hinted as well, peer-to-peer platforms have been a saving grace for a lot of players in the Nigerian markets. Apart from using P2P, I also know that Nigerians have had to be more creative about this. You wouldn't believe it. We have seen Nigerians open up accounts in other countries or jurisdictions that do not have these restrictions. And so having done that, they are able to easily move their monies into a foreign account somewhere, right? Fiat account. And then they are able to, remit that money, quote unquote now, to their home accounts here. So Nigerians are in Ghana, they are in Seychelles, they are, all across the country and all across the world trying to, make sense out of this. Of course, the use of USDTs, stable coins have also helped a lot, right? Of course, like you said, being able to pay for these things or go about monetary transactions using cryptocurrencies like, what's it called now? Some platforms like Algorand. There's a client of ours called Clipit.io. What they do is an African marketplace for NFTs. And what they do is, I think they work on the Algorand platform. And what they try to do is see how creators and collectors can really maximize NFTs by using their platform. And one of the ways that I know that you're able to pay for stuff there, you need to own some algos, right? Which is a cryptocurrency on its own. But having owned some algos, depending on the platform that you use, most times these things are on Ethereum, but we now see other blockchains too trying to get interested in NFTs, Solana blockchain, the BN blockchain, Binance blockchain, and all of them. So we're seeing the need for players to really look at how these things can be more user friendly. User experience haven't been very wonderful for a lot of people. And this is where I think there's also a huge opportunity. I mean, in the CBAN platform, that the Association and President, Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association of Nigeria, we are seeing some collaborations going on. We now see persons who are strictly not artists. They know nothing about how to paint anything, do it. But what they can do is to help connect the players in that sector, so they are able to earn through that. We need to see more of that. There are also artists who want to get on the NFT marketplaces, but they don't know how to mint. They don't know how to even brand themselves well. All those things, one of the speakers, I can't remember now, was talking about you need to put yourself out there and say, this is the inspiration behind the work. Some of these creators don't really know how to put those words together. So we are seeing copywriters collaborate with some of these artists so that you can have a solid brand out there when you sell. So when you say that you want to sell yours for, say, 10 Bitcoin, people won't think that you're about to rob a bank. So you need to have more collaborations like that.
And so before you go, just one question, and in 1 minute you can just answer this. Is the Naira wallet any good?
Oh, gosh.
Is the Naira wallet? Is there a use case for it being used for NFT transactions?
That's very interesting. 1 minute answer.
1 minute answer.
Naira has a lot of potentials. But those potentials, I suspect, will be greatly impeded by the initiators of the eNaira project. That's my fear. The eNaira can do a lot of things in the blockchain and crypto ecosystem, if only the CBN allows the eNaira really be used at its fullest potentials. But we are seeing a lot of fears on the part of the CBN in terms of financial stability and all of that. The CBN does not really want to see easy conversions between the Naira into other kinds of currencies. Because if that happens, there's going to be a lot of capital outflows. And that's not what CBN really wants. So I am suspecting that the eNaira would be limited in a way that ensures that you can't easily convert or use these things to buy stuff that we don't control. I mean, look at all of the platforms you talk about, OpenSea, Rarible, all of them. These are all foreign platforms. And most of them, at the end of the day, even if you use a stable coin, you never hear about a Naira stable coin or a CD stable coin. It's dollar stable coin. I mean, just last week, SECO released stable coin backed by European euro. We've also seen just this week, Theta, the Theta company behind the USDT stablecoin, has just released a stablecoin backed by the British pound. So if you really look at it, if we just allow the eNaira dance and go out with every date out there, we're gonna run into trouble really fast.
Thanks. That was good.
I need to move this conversation a bit quickly. But amazing. I mean, so my mind is blown, I tell you. I need to bring this back to Julius now. We've got a question here. What are the options for Nigerians in the diaspora to access Africa-based NFTs? But before you answer that, I want you to, give us your take on, you've got a physical gallery, and physical galleries are not going anywhere anytime soon, but there's still a need to kind of prepare for the future, and the future is already here. So how is your gallery preparing for that future? You already host a lot of artists like Frederick, who want to tap into a global art ecosystem. Are you doing anything? Is your art gallery doing anything to actively get involved in NFTs? Maybe you have an NFT aspect of your gallery?
Okay, thank you, Beverly. I would answer that question and I would throw more light on our activities generally, and I will specifically answer that question. So let me just be fast because of time. So first of all, LVI Gallery and Cultural Nexus, we are the first gallery in Nigeria to have a fully functional e-commerce website. All the works in the gallery, 1,000 works in the gallery, they are all online. You can shop online and pay with your paper worldwide. There's no gallery in Nigeria. Some of them keep some works online. All our works, 1,000 works are online. So you can shop from any part of the world, which happens already. So because we already know that you have to be global in your thinking, even though you're operating local. So we already have that approach. Two, on the market space, we don't have any strong, everyone talks about open sea. We don't have any strong localized market space. My gallery, with some tech people, we are working on our own open market space for Nigeria, so that you are absolutely sure that this is a Nigerian-based market space. But the only challenge we have in our launch is because of our CBN. The CBN is limiting our push and our launch because of the crypto ban. You don't want to be a known gallery that has a crypto site. CBN will tell the bank to freeze your account immediately. In fact, they'll go to CSC and say, take his license. So we have that restriction, which is the truth, because of our environment. So our work has gone far, but our testing and our launch is being delayed because of the law. The SEC brought a circular and brought a regulation for crypto, which is a plus. So we're waiting for the bigger brother, which is the in charge of monetary regulation in Nigeria, to come to an agreement or change their law on that. So right now, anybody that does an NFT goes to the biggest market, which is OpenSea, and there are many others marketplace for NFTs. There is no established known marketplace for a Nigerian NFT because of why anything you are doing that is known and widely spread is illegal, because the CBN has not approved that. So
the marketplace itself is not illegal. It's just you can't pay with crypto.
Yes. So you have the payment challenge. It's a blockchain backed up by crypto, and there are different forms of currencies which you can use. Now, it's good that we're having the options of having, even in Nigeria, too, you have your card limitations for Nigerians that want it locally in Nigeria.
That's true.
Your card has the amount of money, the dollars your card can use to purchase. So your card has limitations. The crypto has limitations. It's not even existing. It's not even an option legally and locally. So I can, even if I say my market is for Nigerians in diaspora, maybe we have to write and get an approval. So it's even an option to write. I want to do a market for Nigerians in diaspora, not for Nigerians locally. So and I will not convert my crypto. I will leave it there. So it's until we have an enabling law. So Senator, in the blockchain, we need to talk to those in authority to see how we can be able to. You see, we are talking about inflows of FX into the country. These are limitations. Yeah, because Nigerians, we have the greater fear that we like foreign more than local. So if they give your Naira freedom, we do more foreign shopping and weaken the Naira more than doing local shopping. But the beauty is that African art, it's global. African art is trendy. African art is strong. From the different countries in Europe are talking about repatriation of African art, which was stolen, making African art having a great wave. And even locally too. I can say that in my 27 years of being an art dealer, my first 10 years, I had more foreign clients. More than 90% of my clients, the first 10 years, we have foreigners. For the last 10 years, I have more Nigerians than foreigners. Nigerians are buying artwork as assets. Because
that's good.
So you have your mobile asset, which is an artwork. Your land is not a mobile asset. You have gold, which is another mobile asset. Artwork is a great mobile asset. You buy art for beauty. You buy art as a form of investment, and you can even buy art as a form of distressing. It can help you to release tension. So I tell people, first of all, in art, buy what you love, because art speaks to you personally and individually. So don't buy what Beverly love or what Anita love or what Ayo love. Buy what you love, because what you love is easy for you to market, and it has a value attached to it, which is your love for it, which cannot be quantified. That's even in the creativity in the arts, where the artist has so much attachment to what he has done, that creativity cannot be quantified. So the Nigerian limitation we're having is the CBN for now to be able to launch big. Thank you.
Thank you. That was brilliant. I love the reminder. You know, art is a form of investment. You can even pay school fees in the future if you sell it off. It can be a stress reliever, you know, and you can move it around. Do some people keep art in just yes, a quick one? Do people keep art in vaults? Art in vaults.
Very
valuable art.
Another beauty about art is that if you have your gold chain, another beauty about art is that people keep art in vaults. And sometimes people don't even keep their art in vaults because not everybody knows. I can see an artwork. I have gone to somebody's house. The art assets of the house is in billions of naira.
Wow.
In billions of naira. In Lagos here. Wow. The man has, I say your cleaner, they don't know what he has. He said the cleaners, the drivers, they don't know what he has. They will steal his television, but they will not steal his artwork. The artwork is more expensive than the house.
Wow. Wow.
So that's another advantage you have too, that your artwork is an asset base. That's why we are art valuers. We do art restoration at LB Art Gallery. We help you to because sometimes people don't even know the value of the assets.
True.
How do you know the value of your artwork?
True.
So there are means and modalities which you can go and say, okay, your artwork is within this value range at the point of valuation, because sometimes too, you can value today and tomorrow the artwork will increase. So I stop for now.
Okay, thank you. Amazing stuff here. I've got a question on, this is for Sadiq about the horizontal hierarchy you spoke to.
So
we really are running, in fact, we're out of time. So I want to use this to kind of round up the conversation. So I'm going to give everyone one final chance to answer questions and to give their closing thoughts. Please don't forget to post your social media handles in the chat so people on this conversation can follow you. Very, very important. We want that kind of post webinar conversation carry on. So Sadiq, could you just in half a minute explain what the horizontal hierarchy is?
So Marcia and I are fellow travelers. She's a good friend of mine. We were on a project together, and it's a sort of like, it's a new form. I don't know if anyone's familiar with a chap called Jack's Fresco. So it's kind of a way of looking at the world, not from the current framework, where everyone puts in their bit. So you play in your technology. Commerce sort of doesn't have a play per se in this dynamic, where everyone's equal, where everyone has an equal stake, equal share, equal. It's a form of a true democratization, a democratic concept. As much as I believe in it, I don't, at the current framework where humanity is at, I don't see it happening just yet. It takes a depth of intentionality for something like that to actually flourish. I've kind of responded to Marcia. You have incentives, you have commerce, you have so many things to factor. And if you can use the NFT framework to foster that dynamic. But as the world is today, economics, politics, power plays, there's just too many layers. You would still need a philanthropic individual to fund this reality to occur. So we're still back to finance and investment, playing a part in something I deem quite altruistic, because I have my altruistic tendencies, but I deal with all sorts of individuals, creators, professionals, and even with the NFT space. Right now, to get to a horizontal hierarchy dynamic, I don't want to use the word impossible, but we're not there yet. You can, however, use the current framework to allow you augment, which ties back to what I just said. In recent times, there are a lot of NFTs that are crashing. We're all talking about the beauty and success stories, but people are not actually, and this ties to what Julius and Senator were talking about in terms of what's actually funding most of these token collections, all these, is it drug money? Is it arms money? Is it terrorist money? A lot of people don't know. And that is a deep ongoing conversation as we speak. And as a result of what's all these things, the market trends now crashing. There's a lot of regulation going on. There's a lot of discourse going on. So one has to be extremely cautious and careful where you're even getting funding from. We're getting advice, I and myself, from our collective of actuaries, statisticians, and quants about this, where they've said, look, a lot of token collections have no value right now. So it's something I think every creative should think about. What space do you want to occupy in this trend? If you want to go the token route, which is one of the most impactful ways of impacting other people's lives other than yourselves, you need to think about these things. You have to find strategies or plans, and that's where the management and consultations and whatever now come in. This is one of the reasons I'm advocating. You can't do this all yourself. You need to have a lot of other, angles and a lot of other professionals on board, so your framework can flourish. The whole idea for me is, how do you load up something into the blockchain NFT metaverse framework that flourishes and stands the test of time, which is why Ayo and I have set up Goldmine Resource Tree. We want to be able to do this for fellow artists and investors or professionals, anyone who just, whatever angle you want to play, there are consultants at every step of the way, especially where community is concerned, marketing, PR, all of these dynamics, they're very, very important. Sustainability is key, I believe, in this conversation we're having.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Nice. Okay, I have thank you so much, Sadiq. I have a question here, a very interesting one. But before we come to that, let me go to Ayo because I'm trying to round up at the same time. Someone asked a question here, I believe it's Tom. He says, what other opportunities are there in the NFT space for lawyers, apart from IP advisory and representation? So I think this is a perfect question for you, Ayo, to answer and also to close out, because you are an IP lawyer who's now going into the more business side of things. So do you want to just give very quickly in a minute?
Okay, so you said,
Oh, lost him.
that's what he said, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's big now. That's big. Advisory is huge all on its own, right? That whole getting things straight at the very beginning. There's a lot of work to do there. You would not even, and this is just art we're talking about now. There's so much, as we said earlier. There's also putting together, there's also making sure that this whole idea of provenance is small now. We were talking about it in hushes now. It's going to become a big thing eventually, right? Because it will get to that time that before the idea of ownership becomes very key, because that's the key thing. Once it gets on the blockchain, it's proof of work. It's owned. It's on the blockchain for life. So it's going to become that big where provenance from the get-go, from the very beginning at stage of minting, will become a big issue. Getting in, understanding how contracts are written, there's this idea that once it's a smart contract, is good, right? But I beg to say that, to differ, because in loads of jurisdictions where it's even to put a smart contract, how do you want to explain smart contract to a Nigerian judge? How do you, smart contract is in smart contract? What are you talking about, right? At this stage. So that agreement, there should be some downloadable PDF that you can sign and upload, or I don't know, or somewhere just sign somewhere, right? There needs to be a paper agreement as well, I think, for this whole idea of assignment and proof of ownership. I think it becomes key. Then to just cap it all off, this is the reason why we put together our agency to take care of end-to-end business for creators. The idea of an NFT project is not a one-man show, as Sadiq has put together, as expressed on here. It's a collaborative work. It's full teamwork, from the point of strategizing what kind of NFT collection you're putting out, to the point of marketing it, to the point of what kind of, even the platform where you want to put it on. All of those things are decisions that need to be made based on strategies. And that's one of the things that Goldmine Resource Tree does. The thing about Goldmine Resource Tree, which is an NFT agency arm of Goldmine Resource Tree, the thing about it is that we take care of the IP portfolio and the digital asset portfolio. And that's a big deal, because that's where all those quants and statisticians and all these guys come in to make sure that you're not just putting an NFT collection, you're making profit, you're making money from it. Commercialization, that's why you're there. And that's the main selling point that we have with the Goldmine Resource Tree NFT agency, which is a subsidiary of Goldmine Resource Tree, which you see the website from here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for this. Yeah.
Can I invite Frederick to share his closing comments as an artist who's now taking advantage of the NFT space? what words of advice do you have to share with other people who might be interested in either becoming an NFT artist or just enthusiasts?
Thank you. I'm just going to say two things. I just hope it's just two things. And this is it. The NFT, or was it joining NFT? I know a lot of people might actually be thinking that take NFT has been like a lot of people have been talking about NFT for quite a while. Probably it's too late to join. I will say this, even as at now, the NFT still was it being like it has not reached half the stage or half the potential. So it's never too late to join. Never too late. Me too. I was meant to like start last year, but I felt like, oh shit, a lot of people have joined already. Let me push it. Let me push it. Let me push it. Then later, I decided to join fully, and I was devoting my attention when the strike started. And I would say, like what I've noticed, people are still into the NFT. People are still making mistakes. People are still asking questions. So it's never too late to actually join. It's never too late to get to know people, people to notice you. The spaces on was it Twitter are never like filled up. Most spaces where they talk about their works, where they share their projects and rest, you see 100, 200 people. Most times when it's extreme, it's just 400. But I know when the market is like when the NFT market is saturated, we'll not be talking about 400 people in space. We talk about like 2,000 people, 1,000 people. So now the NFT is still new because a lot of people are still on board. So it's never too late to actually enter. And at the same time, a lot of collectors are not yet on the NFT space. So the best time to join is now, ahead of when they will come. Because we are talking, I know Mr. I think I made a mistake. Okay. Okay. So okay, Mr. Julius will actually understand this. Okay, I made a mistake trying to like, press my mic. Mr. Julius will actually understand this, that there are collectors, like there are collectors in the NFT space, the ones who are rich, but there are real collectors in the real world, the ones who are very, very, very rich. These people don't have time for NFT yet. These people don't have time to press their phones. These people are just the ones that will come to real exclusive exhibitions to buy works for like $1 million, 2 million, 3 million. These people are not yet in the NFT space. And imagine when they come into the NFT and imagine the potential, imagine the money flow and money circulation there. So now we still have people who are just buying from each other, and few people are actually already made in the Web2 in the actual world, just moving to NFT. So it's never too late to actually join ahead of these people, because once they enter, I'm sure the real potential of NFT actually was it be reviewed then. So yeah, that's it actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and opportunities. It's quite exciting. And I think I'm going to go back to Sadiq now. Sadiq, did you want to just share some closing comments? We're really running over time and I want to wrap up in 5 minutes.
Honestly, I'm just really happy, grateful for this platform. I'd love to say I've had a really great time, and I'm a firm believer you learn something every day. So I learned a lot from fellow panelists as well, and some of the questions as well have been very interesting. I'll just second what Julius has said. Exciting times, exciting. We're just scratching the surface. I obviously, from a biz dev point of view, I haven't even done a drop yet. I'll be doing my drops last quarter of the year, but I tend to, it's the martial artist in me, approach everything with caution. I was a bit skeptical about crypto, but it's funny, through arts and NFTs, now I actually respect the crypto and the blockchain and all these terms I was running away from before, what they actually have to offer. And in terms of the value add and impact they can have on other people's lives, not just, you, the artist, selling. I think this is beautiful. I and myself are privy to some really cutting edge information, but we can't divulge just yet, especially in the metaverse, through our network and our contacts in the resource pool. And what's about to happen is mind-blowing, extremely mind-blowing. Again, a framework for integrity, openness, and clarity is the way forward and the future of the NFT space, which means everybody has to do the right thing going forward. Artifacts are now coming into the conversation point as well. And one can actually leverage a depth of equity, or the conversation about reparations. The NFT framework now even allows for some of these dynamics to flourish. Then it also opens up the question of who are the owners. A lot of people don't remember or articulate that the owners or the artists are not, most artifacts are not signed. They were actually created from griot. So there's that conversation also. But in terms of ownership, the country or the ethnic group or the kingdom owns what they own, whether it was looted, taken, transported. So again, because of the ability to transition into a digital slash scalable space vis-a-vis the blockchain, NFT, metaverse, sky's the limit. So we're just scratching the surface, to be honest.
Thank you, Thedi. I'll move on. I'll move back to Senator. Some closing words, especially around IP and NFTs. What would your parting advisory be on that? I think somebody had a question about, can you create an NFT from looted art? Very interesting. An NFT on Mona Lisa, who knows? But it would be good to get some clarity around that in your parting comments.
All right, thank you very much. That's a very vital question. A lot of people assume, quite wrongly, that owning an NFT means that you also have intellectual property rights, whether copyrights and what have you. That's not very true. That's not correct at all. Those are two different domains. NFTs could be seen as the vehicle with which you are, creating or transferring the digital assets or the underlying assets. But when it comes to intellectual property, that's a whole body of stuff. You're looking at copyright, for instance. Does owning an NFT means that you also have the copyright? Does buying an NFT from a creator mean that you have copyrights to that work? The answer is no, except the owner has programmed it that way that when you buy this, you are also going to be buying the copyrights as well, which pretty much is more like assignments, not. So we really need to be careful about these things, and this is where awareness comes in. When you create a work of art, you have copyrights to that work by virtue of the Nigerian Copyright Act. If the work is original and you've expended sufficient effort in making it, that's the rule. It doesn't change because you created an NFT. If you created an NFT from someone else's work, you have infringed on someone else's work, and that is unlawful. It's illegal. You can be sued by the owner to say that, hey, the stuff you minted on OpenSea is a picture of I took at the last Dangote party. It's not yours. You can't say because you minted it on OpenSea. Whereas, those Ghanaian guys that made a lot of money from selling that stuff. It was more like a collaboration, right? Even if you think about that one in Nigeria, where a young guy just saw this Yoruba drummer, an old Yoruba drummer, loved it, took the picture, put it on an NFT marketplace, and made some money. I think some millions of naira came from there. He went back to the drummer, that man, and said, the work, this thing has generated some revenue, and I would like to share some percentage with you. So that's where some ethics and legality comes in. So intellectual property has to be taken care of. Anyone taking any work to the NFT space should not think that because you will have digital signature uniquely to it, it means that you own it or anything. You need to ensure that you have consulted your lawyers and other persons to ensure you have the intellectual property taken care of. It's a brand you are selling. You need to also ensure you've taken care of trademark protection. You need to protect the brand. If you're going out there and you're making a lot of money selling NFTs, you need to see it from a business angle. Hey, people love the last one I sold, perhaps because it came from me, not from Mr. B. Perhaps there's some value in my brand as an artist or creator. Maybe I should take trademark protection to some level. So you can't talk about NFTs in space. You're still here on Earth. We're not on the metaverse yet. So even the metaverse is more like a transition and a digital representation of many of the things that are happening physically. That's just that about intellectual property. We need to have a big picture of what intellectual property is and what NFTs really don't do. One thing that artists need to also understand, and those wanting to jump into the NFT space, for many years, we've talked about how the internet has become a hotbed for infringements. So it's not surprising that even with NFTs, we've seen a lot of infringements in that space. You could be selling something on OpenSea, and someone has already downloaded that stuff one way or the other, maybe you took a picture of it, has a JPEG of it, goes to another platform like Wearable, for instance, and meets it all over again, and also sells the same thing. So we're seeing a lot of that in the space, right? We need to know this. Why NFTs are powerful is because they work differently from the internet that we know right now, 2.0, where things can be easily duplicated. So if you have a JPEG of a photo and have a JPEG of it, I can easily, sell it, and no one would even know that this is not the original. But with NFTs, we're talking about original now. So, someone want to say something?
No, I don't
Okay,
think
so
I actually need to pass you over now
okay,
to Julius.
okay. Thank you very much.
Julius, do you want to just give your closing comments as an art gallery owner, as someone who supports the arts world and artists? What are your closing comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, everybody, for your time so far with us. My closing remark, you need to buy substance. So you need to try and get the physical. There must be a value attached to it.
Yeah.
We are the custodian of the value. We have the artworks. And you need to let us know that the artwork you are buying is for this purpose. Because like what they've been hearing so far, I have artworks of about 37 artists in my gallery. Somebody comes and buy an artwork today, and tomorrow goes to make NFT out of that image. The artist will say, I'm not aware about that. So you need to come into that collaboration to say, this is the purpose of this purchase. Is it allowed? Am I infringing on, because your buying has not given you right to duplicate and replicate.
That's true.
I have sold you an art piece, not to go and make 1,000
copies,
pieces or images of it. Then you have not infringed on my rights and the right of the artist, which I am his representative. So we need to know that. So please, the craze for the NFT, we need to get more understanding. Beverly, thank you for this. We need to agree on when to do more of this.
Okay.
I can see that the time is short. So we need to get more of this. Me, I got some level of understanding just from this conversation too. I was enlightened as I equally share knowledge. I equally gained knowledge. So it's important that you have substance. You buy an artwork. I always say people buy what you love. Come to our gallery. We have a wonderful atmosphere. We are open to the public Monday to Saturday. Chat me up. Get artworks that you love. Understand the NFT space and gradually exploit. It is there forever. Thank you, everybody.
That was an awesome place to end the conversation. Can I just say thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you so much to the attendees that are still here 30 minutes later. We were supposed to have ended this half an hour ago, but the conversation was so good. It felt wrong to cut it short. So I'm glad we've kind of come to a natural ending. You shared your contact details have been shared. So please do follow. And it's been really, really good being your host and moderator today. I've dropped my handle at MaxiB. Follow me. I don't know why it always sounds like I'm rhyming, but thank you so much. We need more of these conversations. Big thank you to Julius, Ayo, Senator, Frederick, and last but not the least, Sadiq. You were all mind-blowing. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us at OAL Nigeria for more of these stimulating conversations, and hopefully we'll have another one around the same topic maybe later in the year. Thank you so much to all of you. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye from me.
Thank you.